Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the channel, and we're going to check out a new video from a relatively new band for us, but they have been around for the last 4 or 5 years. I'm not going to tell Andy or Kirk anything about it, but I know a little bit about them, and we'll share some thoughts and feelings at the end of the video. But let's get straight into today's reaction.
Wasn't too far away for your unmade self-preservation. You took it for granted, but you couldn't see. Please come back, selfless creature who kept this world within your grasp. We'll never turn far away from your safe forgiven roots. Father figure, you were the best I ever had. From the soil of resistance and neglect. Immortal in my head, you never feel the single time. From blood of flames that wake up. Without the fires in your heart, illuminate us from the sun. My world will never die again. My world will never die again. Oh. When I stare at myself, it's the reflection of someone else. I see the man who sculpted race and conditioned me. Immortal in my head, you'll never feel the sting of death. Or at least that's what you said. That's what you said. That's what you said. That's what just you are alive. Just you are alive. Immortal in my head, you never feel the single time. From blood of flames that wake up. Without the fires in your heart, illuminate us from the sun. In my heart and my heart. In my heart and my head.
Okay. Now, anyone want to guess the band?
Yeah. First thing I was going to say is it the Swedish band Letters from the Colony, who obviously are very much influenced by Meshuggah. But is that, am I thinking that's Perseus?
Nope.
It's not. Okay, cool. Was it Letters from the Colony? Then? That's my guess.
Andy, any guess? I was,
No idea.
No guess. No guess. Okay, so this is a Titan, a Deity.
Fuck, I reviewed the review. I don't remember that song.
You mentioned these guys, yeah?
Yes, because actually tomorrow evening I'm interviewing them tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we've got to be careful. I've got to be careful what I say now. And this is their single Revelations.
I don't remember that song on the repeat. Sorry, I'm going to bring up the Screen Blast repeat review.
When did you do their review?
2 weeks ago.
Wow, that was memorable then, weren't it? Jesus.
Well, I give
Should
it
we
a
now
6 out
source
of-
that to somebody else?
I give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Which is still positive. Yeah, I just don't remember that song.
It's interesting for me that they've listed themselves as progressive metalcore, but that song doesn't sound progressive. It sounds like 2005 to 2010 metalcore to me. It has all
sugar angle
with a little bit of sugar because it's the elements of the breakdowns, the vocals, the guitarist stroke or the guitarist doing the clean vocals and the heavy vocal at front. I was like, there was a lot of stuff that we saw come out in the early 2000s going into 2010 where loads of bands were doing this sort of things. And this is my first time hearing them, obviously, before the interview tomorrow. So I was kind of like, from a production standard, it's got a really good, crisp production compared to what they had on their like 2018, 2019 releases. They've then spent some good time on their production. Didn't hear them that much like originality or anything like that. It sounded like quite samey as a lot of other bands that we've heard within the channel. There was one bit generally up until one point in the song, I was kind of like, yeah, do you know what? I can get behind this. Quite like the rhythmical on it. It was a little bit stop-start on the rhythms, which I'd rather it kind of opened up a bit more often. Rather than I'm like, okay, you're not letting me kind of lock in with the groove of the track. But when it kicked in with that vocal with a high shrilling guitar lead solo bit kicked in, I was like, whoa. The vocalist and the guitarist are both trying to fill that space. Either one or the other should have done it. It just, for some reason, it just kind of made my ear kind of go, what the hell? And whoever decided to shoot that video and thought that the spinning around camera shot was a good idea, needs shooting. It made me feel bloody sick after a couple of times. I'm like,
you had vertigo.
Spinning that bloody camera around. It's just someone went, I've got a great idea because we're shooting in the middle of a field or near a beach somewhere. With that amazing manufacturer of those invisible amps and microphones. So I really need to find out who makes those amazing things, because amazing these bands can just appear suddenly with no amps, no things, and they plug in these invisible amps and they can do amazing performances. But
let's get Andy's opinion on this.
Go on.
Gent.
Well,
what do you think of the gent subgenre, Andy?
Well, is that what it was? I mean, I've just thought it sounded very Kill Switch Engage to me. I'm not that familiar with those genres, but with the gruff vocals and then the guitarist doing the clean vocals over the sort of in comparison. I think that's sort of done quite a lot, as you said, David, probably in that period of the early 2000s. Not really my sort of thing, but I think it's probably a good example of that style of that genre. It did sound high production value and good musicianship as well. I don't think I've ever seen a video shot on a beach before, so that was quite original. Music wasn't quite so original, but the visual was. I didn't like the rotational camera shot. And you say about the invisible amps, I think it actually worked on this one.
Oh, okay.
Contrary to what I may have said before, I think it actually worked. And the reason why it worked is they shot in a certain way that the camera didn't linger too long on any one musician at a time. It was shot quite high up. So you didn't sort of see, sort of the top of the guitar, you didn't see that, he hasn't got a lead. So you kind of were detracted from that element. So I think that worked well. Maybe the rotational camera shot as well was to add to that. But for me, it did sort of, I'm glad there weren't too many more because it was quite disorientating, wasn't it?
I'd start looking away.
Lots of, sort of low end, again, not familiar with the style particularly, but a lot of low end notes. Not a lot of melody kind of thing, throughout the song, but it worked. It was quite entertaining. It's not something I'm really into, but as I said, a good example of that genre, I would say. Yeah,
I mean, I would call it progressive metalcore. They're definitely a prog metal band because of that Meshuggah periphery influence that they have. This is more my type of music out of the three of us, isn't it? Bands like this.
Probably, yeah.
Gent, I do like that ridiculously named subgenre. I enjoyed that, but some things I will pick up on. Who the fuck did the audio engineering for that song? I don't think it was a good mix at all, because that guitar solo is far too loud. What I did like, how raw were the visceral vocals, really raw, one take. I appreciate that, but again, the volume levels and instrument separation in that mix was all over the place. So That's probably what caught my attention in it. Yeah. I'm going to ask a rhetorical question and answer it. What spoils this type of music? The clean chorus. That is, I just can't be doing with that. That is the ultimate cliche in metalcore, isn't it? Right, we're going to go in really aggressive, and then we're going to have this fucking chorus that sounds like the worst kind of teen angst, even though the lyrical content's not about that. It just gives you that impression, that whiny American, suburban, fucking useless, almost like pop punk type chorus. Sorry, Killswitch Engage, why did you bring that into metal? Not a good idea. And how many bands have ripped them off for that? But the Titan of Deity, I like. I think they're a good band. The chorus, don't like. I think it rips off that band While She Sleeps, you know, that Sheffield metalcore band.
Right.
But there's a lot going on there. I did like the groove. I could lock in with it. Great musicianship. But it's just, what is the main criticism? It sounds like like Meshuggah, doesn't it? But obviously not as good.
I mean, I would pick up about the vocal point, because the question I have is, we just did the album review for Detractor, where it was gruff vocals the whole way through, and we felt it felt samey because the vocal range wasn't there. I'm wondering if it's the same reason why bands go for this clean vocals, because they do the heavy growly vocals and they find that actually it sounds too samey. So the clean vocals is brought in as a way of breaking the vocal lines up to kind of give you that balance. So if you said a Titan of Deity and you had his vocals as the front guy, which is great gruff vocals all the way through, would we be saying the same thing that halfway through the album that it's feeling a bit samey at this point because his vocals have been the same? I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons within that vocal style.
Unlike Detractor, though, this guy, there was variation,
right?
Although he sang the same style throughout, you know, during his parts, but it wasn't just, you know, there was slight pitch ups and downs. You know, it wasn't boring and monotonous, which spoilt the Detractor album. But yeah, that you might be absolutely right, Dave. You know, these bands sort of bring in, you know, a different vocalist in a completely different style, just to sort of break it up and add a bit more to the mix. Maybe just don't overdo it. Maybe not give them a whole chorus. Maybe give them a line to finish a verse or something. But you're right, Kirk. It does kind of, well, you hate it. It does. It's not my genre, so I can't say it spoils it or not. But it's obviously a theme that runs through a lot of bands and a lot of material.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that 8-string guitar, ultra drop tuned sound. You know, now if you give me an album and it's in standard tuning, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm just so used to listening to drop A and drop B tuning. So yeah, let me just repeat though, Titan of Deity, I do like their music. I would definitely go and watch them if they're playing in London, Hertfordshire, wherever they're playing. I'm in that town, I'm definitely paying money to go and watch them. They are a band that do pique my attention.
I mean, I'm just going to wrap up then. So I would say with what we said with the Titan of Deity, although we can sometimes come across as being negative about it, it's more a case of personal preferences. I would say within their genre, they sound good at what they do. So they're obviously very talented musicians.
Oh yeah.
You can see how they do that in their performances. And within that progressive metalcore, which is definitely not my genre and definitely not Andy's, they sound like they are very good at what they do. But unfortunately, all I could pick up was the things that I've heard before, which is kind of the same sort of thing. If you're not into that sort of field or into that genre, all you know is whether you've heard something before, like you do with a new wave of British heavy metal band. Someone brings out a new wave of British heavy metal sounding album, you kind of go, sounds like Iron Maiden, that does. Like everyone talks about when they talk about Kane, and when they come out, you're like, oh, Kane, yeah, a bit very, very Iron Maidenish. But unless you're really into new wave of British heavy metal, you wouldn't be able to differentiate the different elements, the nuances within that genre. So I think within a Titan of Deity, they've got some, obviously they've got some chops. You've done the review, so obviously people go check out the Screen Blast Repeat review for a bit more details on that. But that was a Titan of Deity, and the song was Revelations, and we'll have their interview coming up onto the channel very, very soon. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.